listening to The Daily Show.
The Daily Show?
The Daily Show.
The Daily Show.
On Men's Radio.
Men's Radio.
Men's Radio.
Men's Radio.
With Russ Kane.
That'll be me. God, you ever about to do something? Hi, everybody. This is The Daily Show. And you ever do something and then you think, and I just went to put in my earbuds so I could hear what's going on. And the little rubber thing had fallen off. So when Neil came on and was looking for me, there was just distance. There was nothing there. Nothing at all. Because I was hiding under the desk trying to find the little rubber thing. And with my eyesight, good luck with that. You know him. You love him. He is apparently the king of comedy. I cannot tell you what his new comedy routine, because even for us, it's a little on the vulgar side, but very, very funny. The king of the Tolworth Tower and all that he surveys, Mr. Neil Long.
I hate it when my little rubber thing falls off. I really hate it when that happens.
Well, yeah, I know. How many kids you got?
Only one.
Just
doesn't happen that often.
It's enough. It's enough. It's enough.
No, I don't blame you not quoting my new comedy song, but I did try out some new songs last night at open mic night, and seems rather successful actually. This is not the forum for such.
Oh, I think it is.
Kind of
I mean, I'll be honest.
Merriment.
I think it could be. I think it could. So, what have you been up to, fella?
I did a 21st birthday on Saturday. Actually, a lovely lady called Charlie, and it was great because she loved all the kind of indie songs, like all your Franz Ferdinand and the Wombats and all that kind of wonderful indie stuff, which was Guns N' Roses, all of that in. But it was a really, really good day. And yesterday I tried out some new comedy at Whole Lot of Comedy. We've had Elaine Blackmore from Whole Lot of Comedy on the Daily Show, and it was her and her husband Graham's comedy club.
Have I met Graham? I've met Graham.
You met Graham Blackmore, yeah. And
a few times.
During the week I went to see a fantastic lineup, one of their professional nights, and there's a guy I've got in touch with because he was talking about mental health on the stage in a really funny way as well, and I thought I've got to get him on the show, so I'm angling to try and get him on Wednesday. A very funny comedian called Dave, and the headline of that night was
Dave.
a chap called...
What, is that like Prince or Lulu? Just one name?
No, I didn't think it'd be fair to quote his surname until he's confirmed it again. Actually, no, I can say Dave Chawner, brilliant comedian.
Oh, now look what you've done.
Pardon?
He mentioned the name Chawner.
Don't tell him, Pike. And the headliner was Jeff Innocent, who is a fantastic comedian and a true gentleman as well. Absolutely brilliant. So yeah, it's been quite a funny week in a good way.
That's good. That is good. That's excellent.
Hello, Francine.
You seem in good humour, which is always a wonderful thing. You seem in good humour.
Yes, I'm in good spirits. Thank you very much. And how did your event go? How did your? That's weird saying. How did your funeral go? That's kind of creepy, isn't it?
Well, I'm still here to tell the tale. Hey, calling Dr. Freud and Edgar Allan Poe at the same time. It is the celebrant. My celebrant activities seem to be growing. I'm not concentrating so much on weddings at the moment. I did some vow renewals for my cousin Francine the other Saturday night. That was nice and lovely, and was a huge surprise to her, which was adorable.
I think you said vowel renewals, like renewing.
I know. Well, she spelt it as vowel. It's vow, VOW, vow renewals, which you can do. But I did a funeral last Monday, and then I was sitting in a meeting on Thursday, and the phone rang twice from two different people. There's another 2 funerals coming up early next month. People being very kind. And not on the advertising. It said they've been very, very kind and wanting me to.
No, I can imagine you, because I know how you work, and you'll do it absolutely brilliantly. I know you will.
You're very kind.
No, I mean it.
This is one of my comedy heroes. His name is Jeff Stevenson. He is one of the great stand-ups. He's also one of the most famous warm-ups in light entertainment history. Seriously.
Hello, Jeff.
And Jeff and I did Panto together a million years ago, and I'd never met him, he'd never met me, and it's a huge thing that first day when you're sharing a dressing room and you're going to be stuck with somebody in the same room for 2 months, day and night.
I take it you got on well.
We became instant buds, and Jeff is saying this. Great to hear comedy is going well. Good morning from Vietnam. Blimey, You can say it. Come on, you've been dying to say it. You can do the Robin Williams line. Come on.
Good morning, Jeff.
There we go. Jeff Stevenson's just the most delightful guy, and he is also a fantastic actor. If you ever get the chance to see a film called Touching the Blue, where he plays a kind of down and out, full of doubt, that rhymed, professional snooker player. And his last chance at the last sort of OK corral, and he goes out and plays the game. It's a terrific little film. I say little because it's a short film. It's not like a 3 hour.
Does Jeff actually play snooker, or did he have to learn for the role?
See him playing. It's all set in the dressing room.
Oh,
and incredibly intense because there's just Jeff, and it's full of. And it's interesting about mental health and well-being because the character is full of self-doubt and concern. Is he over the hill? Can he come back? Can he beat the reigning champion? It's all of that. Hang on. Oh, God. Beauty and brains. Good morning. Actually, just realised I'm in Cambodia.
That is so, Jeff, that is so rock and roll. I've got no idea where I am, man. You are so rock and roll.
That's hilarious. Also, you and Richard Nixon thought he was in Vietnam. Turned out Lyndon Johnson was bombing Cambodia. Who knew? I've always wanted to go there. I hear it's absolutely beautiful, Cambodia, Vietnam. Yes. That would be very, very nice. Let's go from Cambodia to Spain. This is marvellous today. Chrissy Richards. Hi, everyone. Hi, Chrissy.
Hey,
hope
Chrissy.
You're well. Hope you're well. It's very, very interesting. When you do panto or any of these theatrical things, and you've got to share a dressing room, man, it makes or breaks the next 2 months because you're doing something like 84 shows back to back without a break. And if you're stuck with somebody who's an arse, oh my God, I can't tell you how horrible it is. And if you're stuck with someone who's great, it's just a holiday. It's just so much fun. And Jeff,
it makes all the difference. It makes.
I can't tell you.
I enjoy my my comedy community because I meet many comedians that are kind of at my level on the open mic circuit, and it's a great new community actually. But it's interesting how it ties in with the mental health. This is what Dave Chawner was saying, and he was speaking in a very, very clever way because he's a clever guy about what happened to him, but making it funny at the same time as well, which is a real art. But still tasteful and yet edgy and funny, real balancing act. But I can certainly see how comedy or any kind of performing arts and mental health are very, very connected. It's all about expressing yourself, isn't it? Hello, Karen. How are you? Good to have you tuned in.
I've got to be honest with you, Neil. It's interesting. You enjoy the comedy gang, and I really don't at all.
Do you not?
No. It goes way back. I used to, back in the 80s and the 90s, I used to write a lot for Light Entertainment. So it would be Hale and Pace, if you remember them, Russ Abbott, Bobby Davro, all of those.
Of course I remember Hale and Pace. The management.
The management. And I got them their first corporate gig, actually. I was so impressed. No one had ever heard of them, and I thought they were great. I got them from a drug company. Anyway, neither here nor there. I just thought they were marvellous and charming. They were just lovely guys.
They're good lads, brother.
And still are. But on the circuit, which is why I never do and never wanted to do the circuit, I found them very, very unfriendly, very aggressive, very passive-aggressive, hated any newcomers, terrified it might take the spotlight away from them. I didn't enjoy it at all. And when I
suppose it depends who you get. I mean, Elaine and Graham at Whole Lot of Comedy run a very friendly room. And I feel kind of an energy of support in that room. Yeah, there's a little bit of competition. But ultimately, the better everyone does, the better it is for everyone. So actually competing kind of, you get someone trying to be the star and it kind of can shoot the whole room in the foot and shoot the whole night in the foot.
Yeah, I get that.
It's so much better when everyone's good and everyone's feeding off each other. It's a better atmosphere and there's enough success for everyone. But I find that my peers are really great. Can I mention a couple of up and comers that I think are going to be huge?
Sure, why not? Why don't you?
Pete Kinsella. He looks like Hagrid and he uses that in his act. He's really, really good. And American chap called Brandon Palmer. He closed the show last night.
Yeah.
I think he is going to be massive. Remember where you heard that first?
You heard it first right here with Neil Long. Neil Long, all night long. Oh,
Look what I've got.
Oh,
The new book from Paul McKenna.
Don't look at it. Don't look at his eyes. Don't look into the cover. Don't look into the cover. Too late. He's gone. Now, Neil and I, of course, both worked with Paul at Capital Radio. I knew Paul when he was just starting off, and his life has been an enormous, enormous success. Strange fellow, strange guy. We spent an evening together. When was it? Early December, running up to Christmas, and odd chap now, but still friendly and still Paul. Because to us it's Paul, and we don't go with a "ooh, it's Paul McKenna" kind of thing because we've known him forever.
Yeah,
hugely successful, very, very clever, very clever chap. And I, before Neil gets on to what he's going to talk about turning dreams. Hi, Julie Voice. Turning dreams into reality. There's an old anecdote. Bear with me, Neil, because then it's over to you. And
take your time.
But this, I think, this is an important thing. There's an old anecdote of a guy standing outside Carnegie Hall. He's looking miserable, and people are going in, and the show is sold out, and he's on the outside. Somebody comes up to him and goes, "What's the matter?" He says, "I'm better than this guy. I'm better than him, and I should be in there." And the guy just turns to him at the concert and goes, "But he did it, and you didn't." And that's the difference. The difference is you can dream all you like, but you've got to do something about it. Dream big, but you've got to work hard.
Well, one of the things
So my point is, I'm so sorry, Neil. So my point is, McKenna, who was working at Chiltern FM, to be honest with you, and was a local radio DJ. It was nothing special. I'm not being rude about local. Well, there isn't any local radio anymore, but you know what I mean. He wasn't like a national star, and he just decided this is what he was going to do, and he turned that dream, which, if you look at it back then, would have been impossible, just seemed ridiculous, into an absolute reality. That's the difference, and that's the trick to life, isn't it?
It is, and actually that leads very nicely onto what we're going to talk about today, because I wanted to sort of talk about his new book, because we've done some NLP on here before. NLP does not specifically belong to Paul McKenna. It's a discipline created by in California back in the 60s by Richard Bandler and John Grinder, a computer programmer and a linguist. And it was Paul McKenna has worked with Richard Bandler, though, so he's very kind of high up in the NLP circles. And one of the key phrases is, and you touched on it there, probably without meaning to, what's the difference that makes the difference? What is the difference between someone that tries something and then fails, or I prefer to say gets feedback and then gives it all up, or the person
Can I? That's so key, because it's really, it messes my head up. It messes my head up, and I'm taking up time in our own show to be personal about this.
Okay.
If I fail at something, I don't see it as, oh, that's feedback. I think, bugger, I failed, and I beat myself up about it. Whereas if I succeed, I don't take a bow. I just think, well, that should have happened because I worked harder.
But is that useful?
Useless. Absolutely useless. Useless.
Is that a good strategy for? Because they talk about that. They talk about that in here. We'll probably talk about it later on the show today. Okay. How can I put this? A failure, so-called, is part of the learning curve. But ultimately, when you see it all as learning, there is no failure. It's just feedback. What you tried didn't work. Okay, that's feedback. Try something else. And that's it. Beating yourself up shouldn't be part of the process. All that does is hold you back. That's tantamount to having a little toddler and they try to walk and they stumble and they fall and you stand over them going, "Wow, well, you'll never be a walker, will you?" You know, and that sounds ridiculous when you put it that way, but we do that to ourselves all the time. There's nothing wrong with an acorn because it's not an oak tree yet.
And what's so annoying, and I'm sure so many of you watching all over the world agree with this, Intellectually, you know that. Intellectually, you say, well, this is an absolute waste of my time, waste of my energy. What the hell am I beating myself up? It didn't work. Okay, move on. You know that. But that 3 o'clock in the morning, why the hell did I do that? Ugh,
Well, it just so happens
hurts.
the answer
It
to that
hurts.
is in this new book. Well, the reason why it hurts is because it's, if you like, your internal guidance saying it's not true. That's what pain, if you like, is for. If you put your hand on the stove, it needs to hurt because you need to pull your hand away really quickly.
Yes. Okay.
So that pain signal is necessary to say, make a course correction quick. Okay. If you didn't have a pain signal, your hand could get burnt to mush and you wouldn't know anything about it.
Okay.
All right. So we need the pain signal as a course correction, but no more than that.
So you're
No more
saying
than that.
if you start those negative thoughts, and we all have them, everybody I know has negative thoughts, but if we have them and we feel the pain of them, you're saying it's somehow telling us stop the negative thoughts. Is that, have I got it right? Have I misunderstood?
Yes.
Okay.
What it's saying is that what you're thinking and feeling at the moment does not serve you. Make a course correction.
Oh, hang on. I've got to answer this question.
It's like putting your hand on the stove.
Let me answer this question. So sorry. This is from somebody called Howard Marks, who I've known since I was 5 years old. Can you believe? I haven't seen him in years. But
I know Howard Marks.
do you know Howard? Russ,
so,
why are
yeah.
you not on Deluxe Radio anymore? We fell out. End of story. We couldn't come to terms at all. So that's the end of that. And we said, fine, well, cheerio. That's it. They weren't willing to pay for the content, essentially. We kind of wanted payment, and they thought, anyway, it doesn't matter. I wish them well. Whether they wish us well, who knows? There we are. So we won't be on Deluxe Radio anytime again. Those shows are stopped.
But you can still get us here.
You always get us here.
So basically, a part of NLP is modeling. And I don't mean catwalk modeling. I mean finding someone that does something successfully and what neurolinguistics are they using to create that? What are they doing in their mind and body to create that result? Okay. If they're doing it, it must be possible to do. What are they doing differently from the people that can't do it? So what the NLP people did is modeled, broke it down, reverse engineered these states and traits that people wanted, and then taught them to people. Essentially, they're really good teachers. And the reason why you feel that, you say, I know it logically, but I still feel it. I can tell you the exact reason for that. You can tell the brightness of the light without a point of reference from the dark. Absolutely true.
I don't understand that at all.
Well, I kind of
too
half
clever
agree
for
with
me,
that,
Dave.
You are right, but if you were in a white room and everything was white, there'd be no definition because everything's white. You need some sort of definition. But if you put a little black dot there, there's a little bit of contrast, and then you can start to compare and get a sense of it. If everything's all white, yeah, it will be bright, but there'd be nothing to contrast and compare. You wouldn't be able to get any sense of your bearings, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So you need a little contrast, but you certainly don't have to go through hell to get to heaven, so to speak. You know.
Hello.
That's a common belief, and it's all about what we've been brought up believing. Anyway, what I'm saying is,
can I go back to the beginning of McKenna for a second? Because I just want to point out that, people always think, oh, it's not possible. I couldn't do it. Paul had no more advantages than you, me, and everybody watching and listening to the show. Nothing. No more advantages. What he had, and what he still has, is determination and focus and a goal. Paul wasn't given special powers. I can't see what that says, man. What's it say?
It says chapter 3, determination.
Oh, I didn't know that. The thing about it is, and this is a general, it's a general, Paul does not have magic powers at all, any more than Derren Brown has magic powers. What Paul did was got every book on the subject from a library and a bookshop, because I've talked to him about it loads of times, and he read up on it. He studied it. There's no shortcut to success. He studied it and he said, that's what I'm going to do. And he went for it. And it paid off. And is now one of the most successful people in his field globally. Globally.
And the thing is, if we bear in mind modeling and, teaching people these skills, what he's done is basically broken down the skills that you're talking about, and they're in here. So now we can all, if you like, shortcut the learning curve. Okay. In a sense, we don't have to go back to square one because he's done the groundwork for us.
We have to be prepared for hard work. And I think so many people just want the easy thing. And I go back, and I know I've said this like a broken record, to that whole Simon Cowell ethos. I'm going to be on TV for 4 weeks. At the end of 4 weeks, I'll be a multimillionaire and incredibly famous and popular. It's bullshit. It doesn't work like that.
No. However,
Neil Long could not get up on stage and do a brilliant 8, 10 minute, 12 minute set that had me crying with laughter if he hadn't worked at it. He doesn't just think, I think I could be funny, and walk up and hope it's going to work. Nonsense.
Yeah. And there is a process. And there is a process, to use the comedy analogy, of things don't work. This is what open mic night is for. Things do work. Don't beat myself up. No failure, just feedback. Learn what works. Take care, Paul. Learn what doesn't work. Nurture it. And keep going with that process. And it's an ongoing process. Even if you do become a multimillionaire, you'll go to a new level. But there's a saying, new level, new devil. You'll find a whole new set of problems there. So there's constantly a refining process and a sort of no failure, only feedback process. That'll be ongoing till the day we die. Nobody bucks the learning curve. So to use the comedy analogy, that's how it works. And you can apply that to anything. But to go back to what you were saying about, it logically, but you still feel it. Logically, you shouldn't beat yourself up, but you still do. Yep. What's going on there? It's because we've got two levels of mind. There's a conscious mind and an unconscious mind. Now, the unconscious mind is the repository of all our experiences, everything that's happened to us. It's big. It's really, really big. And it runs on automatic, and it can trip us up. We need it in the sense that we need to put some things on automatic. If we didn't have that facility,
like breathing.
Yes.
I'm serious. I'm
breathing, breathing, heartbeat. I mean, you try beating your own heart for a minute and see how you do.
It ain't going to happen.
And also, we need to be able to put things on automatic, because if we didn't, you'd have to, for example, learn how to open a door every time you walked up to one, and that would kind of slow you down. So we need to have things learned, integrated, and put on automatic. That's all good. The problem is sometimes negative things, which have at their root a mechanism of protection, can be put on automatic as well. There's an example in this book, and the idea is to communicate, and I'll show you how in a minute, with your unconscious mind and say, do you know what? Thanks for what you're trying to do. But like the soldiers who are still on the battlefield after the war finished 10 years ago, your service is no longer required. The war is over. Thank you for what you've done, but your service is no longer required.
That sounds similar, and if I'm wrong, tell me, to, I do a podcast every week with Mark Collin called Walk the Talk, the Hero's Journey.
I do a format.
One of the first things we discuss, and he taught me because he's also my sort of spiritual consigliere as well, but it's another matter and it's private. He said, put the sword down, stop fighting the river. Stop fighting the river, put the sword down. And that sounds the similar thing is, thank you for your service, don't need it right now. So put the sword down, stop fighting the river is huge.
Yes, and it's also saying what you resist persists as well, because you have to give a lot of energy to keep that sword up and keep batting things off. That takes an awful lot of energy. Yeah. So you can either spend all your energy fighting against what you don't want, and you can find plenty of that if you want, or you can turn your energies to focusing on what you do want. Let the river take you.
It's so true. And I had to get him, I'll be honest about it, I had to get him to explain it so many times to me. I said, I don't understand. And then when it clicked with me, you know what, Russ? Stop fighting the river with a sword. You're never going to win. Go with it.
Yeah.
And it makes life a lot better.
and easier.
My whole rule, my
and,
whole thing.
yes, I don't.
See what you think about this. See what you think about this. We have. I'm a lot older than you. Okay. I feel the clock ticking. You don't. I do. We have limited time. There's 24 hours in the day. You got to sleep at some point and go to the loo and brush your teeth and have a snack, whatever. If you don't devote yourself to something that's going to make you happy, not always successful, but happy, life becomes a bore and a drag.
Yeah.
What you resist persists. So true. So true.
Which is pretty similar to what you were saying. That was from Carl Jung. So there's these 2 points of mind, conscious and unconscious, and the unconscious runs the show in a lot of us. And there's like a sea of thoughts from when we were young. There's an example in this book, right? Get this. This is how powerful that a suggestion, if you like a hypnotic suggestion, under certain conditions can be. And Paul McKenna actually saw this client, and it went back to when this person was a little boy. I think it was a man. Yeah, a little boy. And he said, "I want to be successful, mummy." And his mum said, "Oh, don't do that. Successful people get heart attacks." Now, because she was an authority figure, and he was at that impressionable age, that literally went past the conscious mind, which can think and rationalize and reason and go, "Actually, no, I don't agree with that." It went to the unconscious, which doesn't reason in that way. And all the unconscious wants to do is protect and be purposeful. So any time in the future when he started to become successful, he would lash it all up until this program was cleared.
Wow.
It could be something someone said to us years ago. It could be what our religion taught us. It could be what the media say. There's a lot of influences around us, not all of them particularly benign or helpful, right? And it's about separating the wheat from the chaff. Do you want to do a couple of bits?
I
from
do,
this book?
but here's the nub or the rub with this, as Shakespeare would say. There's the rub. I know who said what to me that affects certain things that I do. I know exactly who it is. It's not the media, and it's no one from now. It's way.
Could be anyone. Could be a great.
I know who it is. I know exactly who it. I know who it was. All right, and how it affected me for the rest of my life. So I know that. Intellectually, I know it's ridiculous, and yet I have to get rid of that voice. Especially if I'm doing my 1.5 hour stand-up show. You got an audience, you've got 1.5 hours. A 1.5 hour. There's no one else to blame. If it sucks.
Well, it didn't. It was fantastically good. I was envious of you. But a good way to get rid of that voice is
hooray, happy days. You have to get rid of that voice. No, thank you. I wasn't saying it for that. What I'm saying is we all have that. You can't do this. You can't. You can. You can.
Yeah, exactly. A little hack for you. If you've got a voice in your head going, "You can't do this, you can't do that," it's like a troll. It's got never anything good to say. I've taught you this one before. You put your thumb out in front of you, and you take the voice out of your head and make it very small on the end of your thumb. So it's like a little stick figure, and it's got a squeaky little voice. And now you've got it at a distance. It doesn't seem so threatening anymore because it's not your voice.
Yeah, it's Joe Pasquale miniaturized.
Joe Pasquale, and then that helps you to dismiss it and not take it terribly seriously, and then it doesn't have control over you. NLP can be very creative. NLP can be a lot of fun. You can have it's a very big, playful, creative field. There's an awful lot.
And not dangerous. Not dangerous.
Is a knife dangerous?
Well, it's in London.
Well, no, I use knives.
No,
I use knives every day.
I see what you're saying. Is a knife dangerous? No, you're in the kitchen, you're buttering your toast. It's hardly dangerous. Some punk comes up to you in, Peckham or somewhere with a bloody blade. Yes, it's very dangerous.
So is it the tool itself that's dangerous, or the people that get their hands on it?
Most of the people who get their hands on it.
Exactly. And NLP, if you know what makes people tick, and you're of that mind, is it possible to manipulate people? Yes, you can. But I'm not being funny. You do that, and the wheels of karma do turn, and nothing generally
McKenna would. You might argue, I'm being a devil's advocate, in McKenna's entertainment shows, the entertainment side of it, not his serious side. His entertainment shows, he's using it on people who are susceptible. If I had those gifts, so would I. but he's using it on, but you are a chicken or you are a dog or
Yeah.
whatever it might be, all the silly things. The audience is crying with laughter because it's bloody funny. Interestingly, he tried to hypnotize myself and Chris Tarrant. Nothing, felt nothing.
Same here.
I wanted it to, and with you, nothing happened at
Same
all.
here.
People around us, it was at a Capitol did when McKenna was still with Capitol, and people around us were going down like flies.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, what the hell is? I felt nothing, and understand this. It wasn't that I wanted to fail. I was like, I'd love this to work. This would be great. Let's see what happens. Nothing. I felt absolutely nothing at all. Neither did Chris. Neither did Mike Osman. The who's out the head of engineer, and all the rest.
Mike Osborne, yeah.
And all the rest of the gang, and other people were like, and I thought, are they kidding? No, they weren't. They'd gone out like a light. Boom, like that.
It depends how suggestible people are. But back to what you were saying. It's actually in the first part of the book. It'd be a really good time to. We got
good time. We got good time today to work on this. I like this a lot.
All of this, all the stuff I'm quoting here, I'm taking no credit for. This is from Paul McKenna's new book, Success for Life. I thoroughly recommend it. I'm working my way through it, and I think Paul McKenna, what he's done is fantastic, and the work he's put out in the world is fantastic. And I'm
he's helped a lot of. He's helped a hell of a lot of people.
And I'm taking no credit for this whatsoever. So all credit to Paul McKenna.
You made it clear it's Paul's book, it's not yours.
Yeah, okay. Absolutely clear. But now look.
Okay.
I'm going to read a bit to you. Story time, children. Okay. When you change on the inside, then everything on the outside changes. It's as simple as that. Unfortunately, the majority of people are trying to get the external world to conform to what they want. Put the sword down and stop fighting the river. Yeah. So they spend all their time.
You added that. Did you add that bit? You added that bit. Oh, you added.
Yeah, because he's just made the point you did. Yeah, right. So we're on the right lines here. So they spend all their time and energy trying to manipulate it. To a greater or lesser extent, they're able to achieve that, but it's very hard work, right? So you talk about the necessity of hard work. I'd put a caveat in there. I'd say, what kind of hard work? The hard work of trying to fight the world, or the work of doing what works?
No. Let me be very, very clear. If I decide, all right, something stupid. All right, let's take a stupid example. I decided I'm going to be a champion pole vaulter. That ain't going to happen. I can practice all I like. It's never going to work, right? I'm way too old. I don't have the strength, etc., etc., etc. The things that I like to do, that I think I can be, whatever the term, successful at, require work.
Agreed.
Requires
there is something he says in this
work.
book.
There's no problem with that. I have no issue.
But we've talked a lot about burnout on this show. And he does cover that in this book. Okay. He's saying it's not going to turn you into some kind of work fiend who burns out. He talks about working smarter rather than harder. And that's the key difference, I think. And remember, he's modeled some of the greatest minds from around the world. People that, yes, of course they work. Of course they do. But they love what they do. They're passionate about what they do. It probably doesn't feel much like work to them. And they work smart rather than nose against the grindstone, put the sword down. See what I mean?
Yes.
That's the difference.
I mean, the stuff I'm doing now requires proper effort, proper research, and proper care.
Of course.
I'm very happy to do it. Do I work long hours at it? Yeah, if I've got to, of course I will. It would behoove me to do so.
Yes, of course.
But I won't waste my. But what I won't do, and I haven't done for quite a while now, is take extraneous meetings that there's no point to. If people, can we meet up and discuss? No, tell me what you want. Why am I going to take an hour to get to town, hour to come back? My day's shot. And is there any point in it? No. That's working smarter, in my mind. It's just a silly example.
It's
not being rude. It's not being rude to people.
Of course
it's saying,
it isn't.
We can discuss this on a phone call.
And if you work yourself into an early grave, you're no use to anyone. So hard work is not the key. Smart work probably is.
Yeah. Okay.
It's much more effective to transform how you think and feel in order to get yourself into an awesome state of mind and body. We create an internal voice with our imagination, memories, and our inner voice, which can have a massive impact on how we perceive our external world. So, Everything you do, from boiling an egg to making £1 million, comes down to your NLP, your neuro-linguistic programming. By using specific techniques, we can change the programs that are running internally and then change them to
Okay, I'm
things
struggling with that a bit, but go on. I'm only struggling because, like, boiling an egg and making £1 million, I can't quite see the analogy there, the conjuncture. But okay,
I can tell you.
okay.
You use a particular strategy for boiling an egg. You heat the water up until it's boiling,
Mhm.
and then put the egg in it and boil it. That's a strategy for boiling an egg. And you've got a certain set of programs in your mind that you know how to do that, right? Same for making £1 million. I'm not saying it's the same as boiling an egg. That's a different set of programs. Same for being a parent. Same for making love. Same for DJing. Same for comedy. We've all got programs that are running, right?
If wait,
Are you frozen? Oh, we got a big freeze. I don't know if you can still hear me, folks. We've all got programs that run. Some of them are deliberate, that we've put in ourselves. Some are useful. Some are benign, neither harmless or harmful. But some, like that lady that told her son, successful people get heart attacks, that's not a good program to be having. So we need an unconscious, purposeful part of our mind to do things for us on automatic. It's just sometimes some of the programs in there don't serve us. And it's about upgrading them so they do serve us and we can be all we can be. That's basically it in a nutshell. Does that make sense?
not quite. Yeah. I get it. That's good.
Sorry, you froze there for a moment. So
I know
chapter
we're
one
both
is
freezing. I have no idea why.
self-belief is the first chapter. There's two things in life, according to Paul, that stop people from achieving. One is self-sabotage. The other is not thinking big enough.
Deep enough.
Big enough.
Oh, big enough. Oh, right. Oh,
You might think, oh, well, I could see myself getting that job, but I could never. I wanted to be a DJ on Capital Radio, right? I could have gone, oh, well, I'm only Neil from New Malden. I couldn't do that. But I did it. You know what I mean? And it wasn't, and I would say, yes, it involved work, but it wasn't difficult.
Did you set your sight? But here's the difference. Did you set your sights at that? Or did it happen?
No, because I didn't really think that it could happen, but it did. Elizabeth Green, isn't it about what you're being, not what you're doing? Yes. The whole thing of NLP, Elizabeth, is states of being. You remember I read that chapter and it said it's changing your internal thoughts, your internal monologue to create an awesome state of mind and body. What you're talking about is a state of being, because everything that we want is because it'll make us happy. We want that sexy lover because it'll make us happy. We want £1 million because it'll make us happy. And what they're saying,
ticking boxes here, fella. So far, I'm ticking boxes so far. Sexy lover.
Why wait to be happy until you get it? Why not choose to be happy now, which will probably make it come to you faster, right? Don't tie your happiness to the externals.
Don't. No, it's just stuff. It's just stuff. Your happiness cannot rely on stuff. It has to come from within.
Yeah. And that's not to say don't enjoy the money. That's not to say don't enjoy a pile of money. Don't enjoy a pile of sexy lovers. No one's saying that. What it's saying is don't tie it to your happiness. Don't tie it to your happiness.
Right. Absolutely right.
You're
completely right, Neil.
Now,
completely right.
When we talk about the unconscious mind, okay, a good way to talk to it, to program it, is something in NLP they call parts, okay? And it's parts integration. Remember, I said the things that hold us back, as Paul McKenna's taught us, it's basically trying to protect us. That guy who used to lash up his business when it became successful because he was told as a child he'd have a heart attack if he became successful, that's his unconscious mind trying to protect him.
Okay.
But it doesn't have the logic of the conscious mind that goes, wait a minute, that's bullshit. That's just a throwaway comment. Do you see what I mean? And that's why you can say, consciously, I know it, but I still feel it. That's
Yeah.
what's going on. Because consciously, you've got a very good, strong, conscious mind, which may be why you can be hypnotized very easily. But the unconscious...
Not at all. Not about easily. And I've gone to a hypnotist for something else. Nothing. Didn't even feel relaxed. I tried.
Yeah.
What about this? Let me throw this into the mix, because I think this...
Try me, but I want to tell you about parts in a minute.
I get it. But what about if you think you don't deserve it?
That comes down to a big human problem, which is unworthiness.
Yeah, yes.
But the fact is, it's just chosen. It's chosen. If you're willing to take control of your life and choose to be worthy, then you'll be worthy, because no one gets to decide but you. No matter what you've been told, if you've done stuff in the past you're ashamed of, okay, try and make it right, then move on.
It's not quite that. Imposter syndrome, and I have friends who are ridiculously successful, but they're very, very close. We're not talking about you, Elizabeth Green. Stop it. We're talking about everybody. All right. So when Kimmy Lashmar says imposter syndrome, that is, you think it's slightly different. But if you disagree, yell. It's fine. I'm no expert. If you've got imposter syndrome, as I said, I've got some friends who are hugely successful. I mean, crazy successful. And they still think someone's going to come along and tap them on the shoulder and go, we've sussed you out. You're not making any more films or playing any more music or being, world famous, whatever.
And wouldn't that be a tragedy?
Oh, it would. But I'm saying they still expect the tap on the shoulder.
But let's look at it from another point of view.
But another thing is, I'm sorry.
What if Steven Spielberg had imposter syndrome and someone says, I don't like his films much, and then he stopped making films? What if Paul McCartney had listened to someone said, nah, we'd have never had the Beatles? Imposter syndrome, again, yes, it is common, but the fact is we are worthy because we exist. Worthy isn't something that's given or taken. It's intrinsic, and it's only messages from the outer world that can cause us to doubt ourselves. We all do it, but ultimately, if you've got an imposter syndrome, you're seeking some kind of external validation from the outer world, where true validation comes from your neurolinguistics, creating a good state of mind and body within. And then, excuse my language, it doesn't matter a fuck what anybody else thinks, because you know you're good enough.
That's why we're not on Deluxe Radio, by the way. They didn't like our language.
Sorry.
That's another reason. So don't worry about it. Couldn't care less. Elizabeth Green says not deserving. So Elizabeth, I'm not a psychiatrist, so I'm not that comfortable doing this, but you're saying you don't feel that you're deserving of what? Of what? I've had coffee with you a couple of times. You're a delightful person. What's the deal?
Now, here's the thing, Elizabeth. If you yeah, exactly. That's pretty much what I said, Dave, isn't it? Yeah, we agree. If you think you're not deserving, if I was on my call with my spiritual guru, a guy called Nick Bro, who's brilliant, I'd love to get him on the show sometime.
We'll get him.
I will if I can. He lives in Canada, different time zones, but he would probably say, Elizabeth, at what age, just springs to mind, do you think that might have come from? And then he'd probably do some inner child work with you. And I've seen it done. And I know it's all cliche, touchy-feely, new agey inner child. But I've seen people walk away from that call on Zoom looking 10 years younger than about 10 minutes. I'm not joking.
Really? Have you really? Really?
Yeah. I'd love to invite you to just to observe. I might ask him if you could come on one of the calls and just be an observer. If you'd like to. If you'd like to. Anyway. And they would do inner child work with you, where you would literally go back in time and talk to that inner child as an adult and say, do you know what, you've got this? Because what you're doing, you're integrating and bringing back all the parts of yourself, the parts that have been disjointed, the parts that have been fragmented over the years, and you're bringing them under this new kind of umbrella of strength and wholeness and strongness, and integrating all these bits back into yourself so you become whole. Okay?
Isn't it infuriating?
That's the root of the word holistic. Whole.
It's infuriating, though, isn't it, that our childhood, but I don't know if you agree or not, Longie, but isn't it? I find it infuriating that our childhood can shape so much of what we're doing and achieving as adults.
Then isn't it good to have conversations like this where we can be
totally? Damn.
So bear in mind that most things that hold us back, including Elizabeth, your imposter syndrome, it's a part of your mind trying to protect you. Remember, the unconscious mind doesn't think logically like the conscious mind. It's just purposeful. Okay. You get bitten by a dog when you're 3, when you're sitting under the table, you'll be scared of dogs until that little phobia is dealt with. Okay.
Yeah.
Even though there might be no logical reason, you could say, I've got no logical reason. It's a little toy cockapoo. It's a tiny, cuddly little thing. And yet I get this terrible fear. Where's that coming from? It's the unconscious mind running that protect program. It's the same with imposter syndrome. It's the same with everything. It's trying to protect you. Here's how to deal with it. Okay, one way of dealing with it. And this is called parts. If you imagine there's 2 parts to you, okay, and you can put your hands out in front of you like this. On one hand,
do we do this?
On one hand is the imposter syndrome. It's saying you're not good enough, you can't do it. But bear in mind, it's got a positive intention. It's trying to protect you. It may be illogical. It may be about as logical as soldiers fighting on a battlefield where the war ended 10 years ago. However, it's still there. Okay, and it's trying to protect you. So don't try and push it away. Don't hate on it. Okay, that just makes it worse. Appreciate it for what it's trying to do, albeit in a somewhat unenlightened way. Okay, it's got a positive intention. On the other hand, you've got your strong self, the part that knows you're enough, the part that knows you're whole, the part that knows you need no external validation. You're a child of the universe, same as everyone else, and because of that, you are deemed worthy. End of. And you've got these 2 parts. And they've both got positive intentions. And you get to know this one and you get to know that one, and then you bring them together. And if you want to be a bit poetic about it, put it in your heart. Okay? And that is how to integrate these things and start to bring back, shall we say, disowned parts of us. And when you bring yourself all back to you in a kind of loving embrace, that's when you become whole. WHOLE. You become whole again. Somebody should write a song.
If only they could do that. When should we start charging Elizabeth Green for our counselling services? Yep, it does. So she's saying this, and she's in New York, by the way. And Graham Pack, where the hell are you? It's 4:44 in the morning there. Yeah, it doesn't stop you being in action, but the little voice tells you you're not worthy.
Well, try the trick, Elizabeth, of putting the little voice out on your thumb. All right, put your thumb out in front of you and put that little voice, okay, and give it a voice that you would never take seriously. Off the top of my head, you're in America. Imagine Bill Clinton saying, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Nobody took that seriously. If that little voice spoke, if that little troll spoke in that voice, how seriously would you take it? And it's small and it's at arm's length, okay? It's called disassociation in NLP, all right? And just try that. Give it some distance. Give yourself some distance from it and look at it objectively. Do I really take you seriously? This little lying troll that's never got anything good to say. What am I going to listen to? My wise self or the little troll that's never got anything good to say? Yeah,
Elizabeth, I know this. This isn't the Elizabeth Green show. But Elizabeth, here's the thing. She says, I've started to tell the voice to shut up. If I hear it, I actually tell it to F off aloud. I say I just get it out my head, and I won't let it live rent free in my head. I won't.
Because chances are you didn't put it there in the first place. Now, what you're talking about is something I like to call the STFU technique. It's shut up.
You know what? Up. Yeah. Yeah. It works.
Yeah.
If that's what it takes. Look. We're all over 21, so and we're not bound by Ofcom and all the rest of this nonsense, right? We're getting down to the nitty gritty. So my view is this: if that's what it takes to tell it to F off, great, because it's better than you beating yourself up and not having your full potential, or not even that, just not being. I'm not going to use the word happy. I'm going to use a word that I prefer: content. Content. When was the last time you felt content? That's all I want out of life, to feel contentment. And that takes some doing. And you don't get contentment from, 27 Rolexes in a safe somewhere and a Lamborghini and a McLaren. Temporarily, that's not contentment.
Okay,
nice. I'm not saying it's not nice, but it's not content.
A good tool for contentment is this. appreciation, just look around and find something you appreciate. And it could be simple things.
Absolutely.
Cup of coffee in the morning.
Yes.
This radio show, this collective, this wonderful collective that we have here, the view out your window in the morning, anything, you name it.
Yep.
And when you focus on what you like rather than what you don't like, it changes your thoughts and feelings. And the good comes more into focus. And they say like attracts like. So the more in accountancy, we have depreciation, which is the value of something getting smaller. Okay. Appreciation is the opposite. It's the value of something getting bigger. What you appreciate appreciates. Because if you're focused on what you like, that will become more dominant in your experience. And you can take the little voice, put it outside, get rid of that. Yeah. That fades into the background and the appreciation becomes more dominant. Neurolinguistics, right?
And it's focus on, I guess it's focus on what you do have. Don't focus on what you don't have. And the other thing, which I've never done, and I do pat myself on the back for this, is I don't. All right, no, that's not entirely true. It's a bit of a fib. I try not to judge myself against what other people have. I think that's incredibly important.
Yeah, don't let your insides be dependent on other people's outsides. Because you don't know
it's no good looking at somebody like. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, let's use McKenna as an example. Only because, in a rarity, we're not talking about him as somebody, he's a guest star. He's somebody we both know, talk to, grew up with, all right? So let's be honest. Paul's a multi-millionaire through his work. Neil and I, I'm not being rude, are not. I mean, Paul is huge. He's built an empire. He's got a massive staff, huge industry. It's a one-man industry, right? Now, my view is, I don't judge. I have never, and this is absolutely true, I've never said, I could have been Paul McKenna. I could have read those books. That could have been me. I don't do that. I go, Paul's done great for himself. Good for him. And I'm happy. I'm genuinely happy for him.
Or maybe you should read this book, I Can Make You Rich, because that's the strategies that rich people will use to do it.
Is what? What do? They're pleased for other people. I am pleased for other people. I am genuinely pleased for other people.
Being pleased for other people helps because it affirms that there's enough success for everybody, depending on what you want. But there is a difference between people who have done very well financially and people that haven't. There's a difference. NLP, what's the difference that makes the difference? What are those people doing differently? What could you do differently? You know, that's the book, I Can Make You Rich. Recommend it. I recommend all his work. Fantastic.
See, this is interesting. Graham's in San Francisco watching and listening to the show. Love it. Got both East and West Coast in the States today. Providing my kids are okay, I'm content. Yeah. If my kids are okay, I'm pretty good. It's not the be all and end all, but if they're not okay, then I'm really not okay. Then I'm not all right. Doesn't matter what's going on in my life. It's horrible. If then and you're the same with your daughter, Neil. If she's good,
very much so. But again, and I'm not saying I'm perfect at this, but if Ashley, for whatever reason, bless her, had a wobble, then she needs me grounded. Wobbling with someone doesn't help them.
Hopeless. A waste of time.
Yeah. So and that's why it's not selfish to put yourself first. That's why it's not selfish to put your own oxygen mask on before you help another. Because if you haven't got anything to give, you're not much use anyway. No. There's no point in, by all means, throw a drowning man a rope and pull him to shore. But it wouldn't do him any good if you jumped in and drowned with him, would it? Right?
Well, he had company. No, it would.
I was going to put the electricity on my computer. Bear with me.
It's absolutely no. It's no good, and it's true. It's no. Oh, that's a shame. You know, try and be compassionate, obviously, but try and be practical. Try and be practical about it.
But compassion is not the same as rescuing, and compassion is not the same as getting emotionally involved.
Ooh, the more emotionally we're in murky waters now, fella.
Because the more emotionally detached you can be, the better you will be in that situation for yourself and other people. If the world is running around in mass hysteria and one person is calm, who do you think is going to be the most successful one? Who's going to be the most practical?
Bill Clinton. Yeah, no, you're right. My husband ran a successful Kimmy Lashmar.
Oh my God, was that your husband? I used to go to Beano's in Croydon all the time, Kimmy.
That's sweet.
I used to go there all the time. It's a fantastic shop. Does it still exist?
See, 6 degrees of separation. My husband ran a successful record shop, Beano's, in Croydon. where Neil Long used to go. And a lot of people accused him of all sorts of because of success. And he'd say, there's nothing to stop you doing it. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, stop standing on the sidelines moaning about other people.
Exactly.
If you think you can do better, go do it.
That's a perfect example of what we were talking about earlier, Russ, because those people are fighting against his success, wasting a lot of energy on that while he's just focused on what he wants. So no wonder he had a smooth ride. It's a fantastic
But it's a particularly British disease, isn't it? It really is. They hate success. They pretend they like success, but they don't like success at all.
But there's
I mean, I'm thinking of that something like, there's something like, and I'm sorry to mention it, but I will mention it, Philip Schofield, who has disappeared off the face of the earth. No further allegations, no nothing, you know, whether you liked him, whether you didn't like him. The vast tsunami of, I'm so glad it's happened. Why are you so glad it happened to him? You didn't know him.
Well, I wasn't glad this happened.
I don't mean you. I don't mean you, Neil.
I know you didn't mean me personally.
But people were like so thrilled. It's like, why? Have you got nothing else going on in your life? Plus, it means we're now stuck with Stephen Mulhern. Anyway, moving on. I'm pleased for other people. You know, didn't bother me. I didn't know him. So I don't understand this horrible jealousy.
He didn't do anything wrong. There was no crime committed.
Well, no further action. Nothing else happened. No further allegations. No other accusation. Nothing.
Well, ask yourself why? Because he didn't do anything wrong. That's why.
So I genuinely don't. People write to me and go, "You really know what happened? What happened?"
I was editing.
I don't know what happened.
Editing a podcast the other day. Really good podcast by a chap called Andrew Payne, Men on Show, which is sort of showcasing the best of men. He's been on the show. Okay. And he was talking to a very young man, actually, still at university, who's contributing to the mental health field. And he says that men are frightened to speak out because they're terrified of getting cancelled. But if you can't speak openly and honestly about something, you've got to sugarcoat everything because you might upset this one, you might upset that one. Mm. You know, I don't think genuinely and compassionately speaking the truth or your truth is anything wrong with that, because otherwise, again, we're just seeking validation from other people.
Can we not use the term? I have a real problem, not with you, with the term "your truth," because it's like I might as well say, "Hey, and in the 2024 season, I'm going to be the number one driver for the Ferrari Formula One team. That's my truth." No, it isn't. Bullshit. It's not true at all.
No, it means more internal. It means more internal than external. I think the way I interpret that, it means along the lines of, if I decide that I'm worthy of going after whatever I choose to because I choose to, that's my truth. I get to choose it. You've got the same prerogative. You can choose it. You can live your truth. I can live mine. That's what it means, I think.
I think the problem with it is, we could talk about it for hours, I think it's been hijacked. And I think the phrase "my truth" has been hijacked by certain quarters where they're talking blatant nonsense.
Yes, because they're trying to...
The fact that somebody believes something doesn't make it true. All it means
absolutely.
Is
and it will be hijacked by people that say it's not my truth, it's the truth. You know, those people over there, the people front of Judea over there, they're wrong. And we're the ones that are right. The problem is when you're very welcome to choose your truth. If you want to declare yourself worthy of going after every dream, fill your boots, you do you, and allow other people to do the same. That's absolutely fantastic. But don't make the people over there wrong because they think differently and feel differently to you. That's the problem. Say one group is right and the other one's wrong. It's the Judean people's front. It's all that. That's the problem. And when it gets hijacked for an agenda, like you quite correctly say, but none of that's got anything to do with it. It's an internal thing. It's choosing your own values, which you've got absolutely every prerogative to do.
Well, there's no middle ground. I mean, we've got off topic, but there's no middle ground anymore. That's the problem. There is no middle ground. You cannot say, we'll agree to disagree. Let's go and have a drink or a cup of coffee. And, you know, I got friends who we have completely different political views or ideology views, still very close friends. I'm just noticing what...
It's taken you this long, Elizabeth.
Jeez.
How many years have you been in broadcasting, Russ?
I started in 1984, Elizabeth. If I haven't got it right by now, I really should.
Elizabeth, I'm glad you're finally maturing and seeing sense. Wisdom comes to us all eventually, soul sister. Namaste. And what about my bloody radio voice,
Just
Elizabeth
got my
Green?
head in. Oh, Elizabeth, that is just hilarious. Yeah, this is true. We're going to end with this thing because we're out of time. But in the UK, if you have a Ferrari, people are jealous. Absolutely right, Graham Pack in San Francisco. In the USA, they think, how can I work that hard? I want a Ferrari. Completely the case. Completely the case. Neil, I've loved this show. I really have. Many more of them. We hope many more. Neil will be with you on
I will
Wednesday.
try and get that guest for Wednesday. If we don't get him, we'll do some more NLP.
Do some more NLP. Neil, you are a wonder. Until we meet again, I'll be back on Friday. Take care, everybody, and join Neil on Wednesday, 12 o'clock, because he is gold. Bye-bye.